Sub-Zero wins. Fatality.
Oh hey everyone, I was just watching Mortal Kombat Fatalities. You know, as one does. Something you all should know about me is that I love fighting games. Good ones, bad ones, 3D ones, 2D ones, all of them. One of the first games that exposed me to the genre was the Super Nintendo version of Mortal Kombat 2. I used to play it all the time with my brother on our family's modded Xbox. I mean, on our completely legit hardware bought from Nintendo. Anyways, later on, I ended up getting into the 3D games, starting with Mortal Kombat Armageddon on the Wii. Those of you that don't know, Armageddon replaced the standard fatalities with a system called Kreate-a-Fatality. Yes, spelled with a K. It's Mortal Kombat, what did you expect? I remember seeing the system advertised on the back of the box and being super excited to try it. However, when I finally got to play the game, I realized how bad the system was. There was almost none of the creativity that the series' fatalities were known for, and worst of all, the system didn't even feel fun to use. The way the system works seems fine on paper. When a player wins, a timer starts and the player is given the chance to input a code consisting of directional inputs and an attack button. So far, it's pretty similar to the original mechanic. However, the commands are shortened. Rather than a successful input playing out a predetermined series of brutal attacks, it causes a single attack. For example, one command results in your fighter breaking the opponent's arm, or another might cause them to rip out one of the opponent's organs. Each time the player successfully inputs a command, the timer resets, getting shorter and shorter each time. The player can perform a maximum of 10 fatality actions, and when they reach that maximum, fail to perform their command, or perform a fatal attack, the fatality is over, and the player is told what type of fatality they performed. This is what one looks like for reference.
Finish him! Extreme Fatality.
For my first video, I've decided to tackle this somewhat infamous game mechanic and determine why it failed and how it could have worked. So let's get into this. Just a heads up, while I try to use vague language, this is Mortal Kombat we're talking about, so viewer discretion is definitely advised. So I feel that the problems with this mechanic can be narrowed down to two things. First of all, they completely got rid of all of the creativity and individuality put into fatalities. Each character has unique abilities, and they usually use them to kill the opponents in ways only they could. This was shown off beautifully in the previous game, Mortal Kombat Deception, making the lack of individuality extra apparent in the Kreate-a-Fatality system. Not only that, but it also severely messes up the flow of matches, especially in multiplayer. Picture this. You're at a sleepover, and you're playing Mortal Kombat Armageddon with your friends. You're playing the winner next, since it's only 2-player and there's 3 of you. You perk up, ready and excited for your turn as you hear the iconic "Finish it" ring out from the TV. You think Jessica is going to try to perform a fatality and fail, or she's going to succeed and you're going to see a cool fatality. But instead, Jessica decides she wants to show off. You watch helplessly as Jessica performs a series of boring, near-identical attacks. You can't do anything or even get to play because Jessica decided she wants to play over glorified DDR. And since she knows a bunch of the super simple commands, Jessica is able to stretch out that stupid timer for as long as possible. To top it all off, Jessica steals your Tamagotchi and kills it too. Sorry about that. My point is that the Kreate-a-Fatality system drags the pace of the gameplay to a complete halt in a way the normal fatality system never has. The hate for Kreate-a-Fatality can be summarized with those 2 points. A lack of unique ways to finish your opponent, and a complete lack of gameplay flow. So the question is, could the system have ever worked? I feel it could, but first it needs a major facelift. For starters, let's fix the lack of individuality. In past Mortal Kombat games, fatalities were based around the character's abilities and personalities. For example, Raiden, a god of lightning, used electricity such as to explode the opponent. Or Sub-Zero, a ninja with ice powers who often froze the opponent to shatter their body parts. However, this trend of characters adding personal flair to how they kill opponents was completely absent in Mortal Kombat Armageddon. Every character in the game uses the exact same attacks for their fatalities. The only exception to this is fighters with swords have access to special attacks, and boss characters have their own limited attack pool. Now, I understand why they did that. There's a lot of content taking up space on the disc, with a story mode reminiscent of God of War, multiple side modes, and every character from the franchise packed in, so the disk space was limited. They could only include so many things, and to top it off, they didn't have the development time to make even one fatality for each of the 63 fighters. However, they didn't have to make all the attacks so same. Sure, giving every playable character their own, fully unique list of fatality parts would cause the development time and game size to quadruple if not more, but there are ways they could give each character unique ways to finish it. For the most part, characters in the Mortal Kombat series are pretty unique from each other, but there are common themes. For example, there are multiple characters who focus extra hard on martial arts, like Liu Kang, Kung Lao, or Bo' Rai Cho. Fire powers are also extraordinarily common, with characters like Sector, Scorpion, Kintaro, or even the previously mentioned Liu Kang having them. There are plenty of other groups you could also organize the characters into, with plenty of overlap, such as Shokons, Cannibals, Cryomancers, Tech users, Telekinesis users, Electromancers, Firearm users, Sword fighters, Saurians, Necromancers, fighters with super strength, ninjas, undead fighters, hammer and club users, cyborgs, shapeshifters, magic users, gross-out characters. My proposal is that the developers could have added special fatality parts relating to those different categories, with each character's abilities influencing which they could use. They could add attacks like lighting an opponent on fire or throwing a fireball through their body, and only pyromancers like Scorpion and Liu Kang could use them. Or as another example, there could be an attack where the player fighter bites into the opponent's neck, and it could only be used by cannibalistic characters like Reptile or Melina. Now, obviously, they wouldn't be able to get too specific with these categories, or else we'd run into the exact same quantity problem. But I feel that this would have majorly helped the fatalities feel more fun and unique. Not only would ability categories create more unique fatalities, but the combinations of categories in a single character would make each one unique from each other. Sure, they would probably have to cut some of the parts that were already there, but a lot of them are incredibly samey, so no real loss to the world. The next problem is a bit trickier to solve. After all, how do you prevent Jessica from ruining everybody's fun by showing off and kissing your date at homecoming? That's not the lane? Honestly, I think we need to completely revamp how fatalities are created to fix this part. To answer this, let's go on a bit of a tangent. That's kind of something I'm an expert at. In Mortal Kombat Armageddon, each player can make a profile, which is used to access unlockable content and even custom-made fighters. The character creator is actually pretty in-depth. Well, it's not the most in-depth character creation, there are a lot of customization options, and the player can even fully customize the fighter's moveset. I made Hatsune Miku, obviously. These playable fighters are tied to the player's profile, which is saved on the memory card. My idea for how to fix the pacing issues of this mechanic is tied to these profiles. In my opinion, they should focus the Kreate-a-Fatality system in that customization menu. You get to actually create a fatality, stringing together parts to truly make it your own. Then, you can assign the newly made fatality a command. When you're playing as that character on your profile, you can input the command and perform the fatality you created all at once. Let's say I go into the Fatality Maker and make one for Scorpion. I set the first action in my fatality as a slash with a sword to chop off the opponent's arm. Next, the other arm. The sword is then stabbed into the opponent's chest, and to end it all, Scorpion breathes fire on the opponent, burning them to a crisp. I set the command, name it Ultra Toasty, and save it to my profile on my memory card. Now, the next time I'm playing against Jessica, I can bust out Ultra Toasty when I beat her and wipe that stupid smile off her face. Not only will I be showing off a cool fatality, but it won't take me forever, and it won't annoy my friends. Now, this system would work well for those that have the ability to make a profile, but what about the friends who come over to play? After all, they don't have the ability to make a fatality in advance. Well, I think you should still be able to use the Kreate-a-Fatality system how it was originally designed. However, I think one major change should be made to the on-the-spot fatality creation. While I think the pre-made fatalities would be good to stick with the 10-part limit, I don't think that works for on-the-spot fatalities. As previously stated, the system in its current state slows the pace of matches too much. To fix that, simply halve the amount of attacks one can do in a Kreate-a-Fatality to 5 instead of 10. And there you have it. my proposed solution to fixing one of the most controversial mechanics in all of Mortal Kombat. Unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, the developers probably won't be taking any input on this mechanic, especially since the series has gone on to much bigger and better things. Oh well. Well, what do y'all think? Do you think my solutions would work, or is this system beyond saving? Don't be afraid to let me know any thoughts or ideas you all might have in the comments. And of course, if you enjoyed this video and would like to see more game design content like this, then I would love it if you liked, commented, and subscribed. So long everyone, and thanks for watching!